Is Texas about to land one of the best players in the transfer portal? We'll discuss on today's edition of the BK Show. What's up, guys and gals? Welcome in to another edition of the BK Show. This is your one-stop shop for Texas Longhorns content on YouTube. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner. The spring portal window officially began today, and it will stay open for the next 10 days. And of course, you're seeing all sorts of activity from around the college football world. Texas has already been active in the portal this week. Of course, a couple of days ago, the Longhorns picked up a commitment from Stanford wide receiver Emmett Mosley V. Big fan of that pickup, and he will address a major area of need for Texas football. And now it sounds like the Longhorns are close to addressing another area of need for the 2025 roster, and that is tight end. And it sounds like the Longhorns are going back to the ACC. Yes, Stanford is an ACC school, and the school we're about to talk about is also an ACC school. Still confusing. I'm still getting used to it. I think we all are. But the Longhorns are reportedly going to welcome Cal tight end Jack Endries for a visit at some point in the not too distant future. That was reported by ESPN's Pete Thamel within the last couple of hours. And our friends at horns247.com have already placed a crystal ball prediction in favor of Texas landing the now former Cal Golden Bear. According to a couple of sources from Horns 24/7, Texas is considered the favorites early on to land Jack Endries. Now, Endries might take a couple of other visits. There are a couple of other teams around the country that are reportedly going to be interested in his services. So Texas will have to fend off some pretty stiff competition. But love hearing that the first visit Endries is going to take is to Texas, and love seeing that some of the insiders who cover the Longhorns are already projecting that Jack Endries will end up here in Austin. The Longhorns need help in their tight end room. Of course, Texas is losing its three top guys from last season. Gunnar Helm and Juan Davis are off to the NFL, and Amari Niblack hit the portal. He's now at Texas A&M, so the Longhorns have a lot to replace at tight end, and they've got some guys returning from last year's team, but nobody who is back in 2025 had any catches last year. Matter of fact, nobody in the Texas tight end room has any career college catches. They've got some bodies, and they've got some guys who I think can be pretty impactful down the road. But of course, the Longhorns have SEC and national championship aspirations this fall. I don't know if Texas wants to just hope that some of their younger, more inexperienced guys are ready for the big time. I think the Longhorns are in the market for somebody who is guaranteed to help them out in the short term. And I think most Texas fans, myself included, are in favor of that as well. So enter Jack Endries, 6'4", about 240 pounds. He's going to be a redshirt junior in 2025, meaning he will have 2 more seasons of eligibility. But last season at Cal, how about these numbers? 56 catches, 623 receiving yards, had a couple of touchdowns as well. 2 seasons ago, he was a freshman All-America at Cal. So it's a couple of years of solid production in Jack Endries' college career. And I'll mention this as well. Pro Football Focus has Endries rated as the number 2 returning tight end in the country. That's not just tight ends in the transfer portal. That is the number 2 tight end coming back to college football in 2025 in America. So some high praise right there from our friends at Pro Football Focus. And Endries, again, a couple of years of great production. He actually led the country in total snaps at tight end in 2023. That was his redshirt freshman season where he was an All-America. And then we talked about the numbers last season. If you've watched the Longhorns in the Steve Sarkisian era, you know just how important tight ends have been to the success of the Longhorn offense. Go back and look at what JT Sanders did in 2022 and 2023. 54 catches, 613 yards, 5 touchdowns in 22, 45 more catches, 682 yards, and 2 scores in 2023. And then, of course, this past season, the impact that Gunnar Helm made, he might have been even better than JT Sanders. A lot of folks were a little bit nervous about what tight end was going to look like without JT, but Gunnar Helm eased our concerns very early in the season, ended up leading the Longhorns with 60 catches, had 786 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So, yeah, tight end has been very important for Texas. And of course, you're breaking in a first-year starter at quarterback. You want to give Arch Manning all of the tools that you can to help him be successful. And tight end is that reliable, big-bodied target that just can be there for you when you need him most. You think about Texas's struggles in short yardage and in the red zone last year. Hopefully, an impact tight end can help quell some of those problems. And yeah, just having a big body with experience is something that I think would greatly benefit the Longhorn offense in 2025. So I'm very much in favor of this move. Love the early reports. Love to hear that Jack Endries is going to take a visit to Texas at some point in the coming days. And hopefully Texas can get the job done, right? Hopefully this is, hey, Endries comes to Texas. He likes what he hears from Steve Sarkisian. He likes the university. He likes the city of Austin, and he wants to be a part of what's happening with Texas football. And boom, he's signed, sealed, delivered. You don't have to worry about him going anywhere else. But that might be the case. And there are a couple, that might not be the case, I should say. And there are a couple of other schools that are worth talking about that have reported interest in landing this guy. Oklahoma is one of them. Of course, the Sooners just picked up one of Endries' former teammates in Cal tailback Jaden Ott. I think that news came out yesterday or the day before. So Oklahoma could be in the mix. Alabama could be in the mix as well. Another SEC school. We know Bama has money. We know Bama has resources. They could use a tight end in year two of the Kalen DeBoer era. Miami, another team that has been discussed as well. Another team with plenty of resources that hasn't been afraid to spend this off season. And also Indiana. That's another school maybe worth monitoring with this situation. Cal's quarterback actually transferred to Indiana earlier this offseason and is expected to be the starter for the Hoosiers when we get to the fall. So Endries put up some pretty good numbers with Mendoza, the new IU quarterback, these past couple of seasons. Endries wants to recreate that. Then obviously he could end up in Bloomington. So some other schools, again, that the Longhorns are going to have to fend off to fully get Jack Endries to put pen to paper at Texas. But man, this kid's a great story. A former walk-on who has really burst on the scene over the last couple of years, and he could be a one and done, or he could be here for a couple of seasons. Again, the tight end room, you've got some young guys who I think are going to be really good. Jordan Washington, the redshirt freshman, who unfortunately has missed a lot of spring ball with a collarbone injury he suffered just a couple of weeks in. And then you've got Amari Winston, the true freshman early enrollee. We talked about him yesterday. He apparently is doing a great job, like one of the lowest graded recruits that Texas brought in this recruiting class. And Amari Winston apparently has been turning heads. He's been scoring touchdowns in scrimmages. He's been getting some reps with the ones. He's been getting plenty of reps with the twos. Even though he's a true freshman in his first few weeks on campus, sounds like he's making the most of his opportunities. And then you've got Nick Townsend, who I believe was a top 75 recruit in the nation that Texas brought in the class of 2025. He is not here right now. He'll get here in the summer. So again, you've got bodies. All of those guys were highly regarded, at least decently highly regarded on the recruiting trail. And they all have a ton of potential to, I think, be great down the road. But bringing in a proven, experienced tight end like Jack Endries gives you the luxury of, hey, still developing those guys and also still ensuring that you are going to get the consistent production from the tight end room that you want to have to be successful as an offense in 2025. I mean, this team's first game is on the road at Ohio State. Like, you don't want to just say, oh, Spencer Shannon, we know you've been with the program for a few years. We hope you're ready for this. Oh, Amari Winston, we loved what you did in the spring. We hope you're ready for this. Oh, Nick Townsend, Jordan Washington, like, we're going to try and pray that it works. No, you want to have somebody who has already gotten the job done in major college football. I know the ACC isn't as good as the SEC, and I know Cal isn't what the University of Texas is, but still, I'll take those skins on the wall. Again, a tight end who led the nation in snaps 2 years ago, and a guy who had 56 catches for 623 yards and a couple of touchdowns this past season. A couple of 100-yard games in the mix for the Golden Bears as well. So as it stands right now, Texas has 6 players in this offseason portal class. They just picked up their first offensive player the other day with Emmett Mosley the fifth coming in. Jack Endries would make it the 7th player, and of course the second offensive player if Texas is able to get the commitment. And Sark talked about it last week. Wide receiver, tight end, defensive line. 3 areas of need. Well, they checked wide receiver on Monday. They may be checking tight end soon. I'll be on the lookout for some defensive lineman news over the next few days. That's going to do it for today's episode. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel and comment below with your thoughts. Are you a fan of this pickup? What else do you think Texas needs to do in this portal window? Always love hearing from y'all because y'all are the most important part of the BK show. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I may have already mentioned that. If I did, I apologize. Now I'm just being a little bit greedy. We'll be back with more Texas Longhorn content very, very soon. Until next time, remember, when you watch the BK show, you rule. Talk to y'all soon.